Hello everyone, hope you're all doing good. Myself Tanuja and this is a wonderful session of biology. Welcome. So we are discussing plus 2 biology here and we were discussing a very important and very interesting chapter of plus 2 biology which was evolution, right? So this is the last part of the video. We have already uploaded some videos of this same chapter and we've discussed a lot of topics in those videos, and this is the last part of evolution. And in this part we'll be discussing about just two final topics, and the first topic that we'll be discussing in this particular part is the brief account of evolution, the 6.8 of your NCERT textbook. A brief account of evolution. Okay, it's just telling you how evolution took place. Okay, I mean the chronological order in which evolution took place. Okay, and what happened in how much million years and all that. Okay, so it's not nothing. There is nothing to learn or there is nothing to explain over there. I just have to give you the chronological order and you have to learn it. There is nothing left to explain. Okay, so I'll show you how it goes. About 2000 million years ago, as we already know, as we have already learned that 2000 million years ago, the first cellular forms appeared. So I hope you remember that universe appeared 20 billion years ago, right? I am writing this for the fourth time in this chapter. Universe appeared 20 billion years ago. Earth appeared 4.5 billion years ago, right? And life appeared 4 billion years ago, and in that non-cellular forms appeared 3 billion years ago, and first cellular forms appeared 2000 million years ago. I hope you remember this. So that's exactly what they have told you there. 2000 million years ago, the first cellular forms of life appeared, and then slowly 500 million years ago, invertebrates appeared. Okay, invertebrates, the organisms that don't have vertebral column. So invertebrates formed. Okay, later on at 350 million years ago, jawless fish probably formed. Fish without jaws, jawless fish formed. And then 320 million years ago, seaweeds and few plants started forming. So plants formed in 320 million years ago. Okay, plants formed 320 million years ago. Clear? Okay, and as I already said, the first organisms were aquatic organisms, then later they invaded land, right? 350 million years ago, one thing that we learned was 350 million years ago, jawless fish was evolved, and in 350 million years ago itself, fish with stout and strong fins, okay, with strong fins could move to land and go back to water. Okay, so what did I just say? There were fishes with really strong fins so that they could swim and come out of land and they could go back to water. Okay, so fishes like that evolved 350 million years ago. Okay, how did we know that? In 1938, actually, a fish was caught in South Africa which was thought to be extinct. We thought that fish was extinct, and these were known as called lobe fins. Okay, so this later evolved into amphibians that lived on both land and water. So that's how we know that fish with strong fins could move outside land and then they could go back to water like amphibians. Okay, we got the evidence from South Africa. And later in 350 million years ago itself, amphibians evolved. Right, amphibians evolved into reptiles. We know what reptiles are. Okay, reptiles lay eggs like snakes. Okay, reptiles lay eggs. Okay, thick-shelled eggs. That's a big important point. Reptiles always lay thick-shelled eggs. Okay, which is unlike in the case of amphibians, because thick-shelled eggs was not found in amphibians, but in the case of reptiles, thick-shelled eggs was found. Giant ferns. Okay, the pteridophytes. Giant ferns arised 350 million years ago, and then at 200 million years ago, some of the land reptiles went back to water. Okay, to evolve into fish. That is very weird, right? I mean, we never thought the reptiles would go back to water and then become fish again, but yeah, they did. In 350 million years ago, amphibians became reptiles, and then 200 million years ago, reptiles went back to water and then they evolved into fish. Okay, And after that, the next 200 million years, in next 200 million years, reptiles of different shapes and sizes dominated on Earth. That's when dinosaurs came into action. Okay, about 200 million years ago. Then what happened? Example was Tyrannosaurus and all that. But later on, the dinosaurs suddenly disappeared from the Earth. Right, that's about 65 million years ago. So from 200 million years to 65 million years, who were dominating? The large reptiles like dinosaurs were dominating. They were about 20 feet in height. Some were about like some like Tyrannosaurus were about 20 feet in 20 feet in height, and they had dagger like teeth as well. So who could actually defeat these big organisms? Nobody could. So they were ruling the earth from 200 million years to 65 million years ago. But in 65 million years ago, due to some reason, dinosaurs were extinct and completely washed off from earth. Okay. And that's when mammals came into action, because if dinosaurs go down, if reptiles go down, then obviously mammals come into play. So mammals who are viviparous, that is who don't lay eggs but who give birth to children, were evolved, and that also happened in 65 million years ago. So just imagine dinosaurs or reptiles disappeared in 65 million years ago, and mammals appeared in 65 million years ago. Okay, so that's cool. And as we already know, mammals are more intelligent than reptiles or fishes or any other group. Mammals are more intelligent. Okay, so when reptiles came down, mammals took over the earth. Okay. And some mammals even live in water. Whales, dolphins, seals, and sea cows live in water, right? So they're aquatic mammals. And you have mammals who fly as well. Bats are example of mammals who fly. Okay, so that's what happened 65 million years ago. So this is just a picture of how plants developed. See, from bryophytes, you have bryophytes, then you have ferns over here, right? These all are pteridophytes, and then you have ginkgos, which are conifers, cycads, which are gymnosperms, right? And then you have dicots and monocots, which are angiosperms. So the development, you can see the development clearly from bryophytes to pteridophytes to gymnosperms to angiosperms. It's a clear development there. Okay, and you have different eras here, as I already told you. You have the Paleozoic era. I told you, right? I'll show you later on. See, you can see over here, you have the Paleozoic era, you have the Mesozoic era, you have the Cenozoic era, you have different eras like that. Anyways, this is one picture from your NCERT textbook. This is another example of how organisms evolve, from turtles to lizards to reptiles. Turtles, lizards, snakes are reptiles, and then from birds to mammals. You can see how animals also evolved. Okay, so this was a brief account of how evolution took place. Now the last topic of your chapter is the origin and evolution of life of humans, of man, or in other words, humans. Okay, how humans developed. So in order to learn this, you'll have to learn a few groups. Okay, the first man in earth was known as Dryopithecus. Now we humans are known as Homo sapiens, right? So we learned from the first man to us, to Homo sapiens. Okay, so the first man, Dryopithecus, was formed about 15 million years ago. It's very, very important. You have to know when the first man arose in this particular planet. So about 15 million years ago, Dryopithecus arrived, and it was more ape-like. It was more ape-like. It looked like a monkey, okay, or it looked like an ape, okay, and it is believed to have evolved from apes and hominids. Okay, this happened about 15 million years ago. I'll show you a picture of Dryopithecus. So this is actually a man. Okay, it's considered as a man, the first man, but it looks like an ape. Now moving on, the second group is Ramapithecus, which also evolved 15 million years ago. It is more man-like. It looks more like a man, okay, but it has a hairy body, and it walked like gorilla and chimpanzee. Even though it's man-like, it walked like chimpanzee and gorilla, and it has a hairy body. This also evolved in 15 million years ago. So this is the picture of a Ramapithecus. It's more man-like, right? Okay, it's really difficult to believe it's man-like, but still, okay, just try standing like this. No. Anyways, this is more man-like. It has a hairy body. The Ramapithecus has a hairy body, and it's more man-like. So Dryopithecus was more ape-like, and Ramapithecus was more man-like, and both evolved 15 million years ago. Okay, so the next group is Australopithecus, and Australopithecus evolved 2 million years ago. 15 to 2, that's a big gap. Okay, in 2 million years ago, in East African grasslands is where Australopithecus evolved, and these Australopithecus ate fruit and hunted with stone weapons. So they actually hunted with stone weapons. So this is how Australopithecus would look. They are more man-like. They were seen in 2 million years ago. They evolved 2 million years ago in South African grasslands. And not just that, they ate fruit and even hunted using their stone weapons. So it's during the Stone Age. And then you have the Homo habilis. Okay, Homo habilis was evolved from 2 million to 1.6 million. Okay, here in the case of Homo habilis, we started thinking, we started having IQ. So the brain capacity is about 650 to 800 cc in the case of Homo habilis. 650 to 800. Okay, here also Homo habilis also made stone weapons and hunted animals. So this is Homo habilis. It's a picture of Homo habilis. So they have 650 to 800 cc brain capacity, and they evolved 1.6 to 2 million years ago. Okay, this is Homo habilis. And then you have Homo erectus. They have Homo erectus. Okay, the fossils of Homo erectus was found in Java in 1891, and Homo erectus arrived 1.5 million years ago, and these people ate meat. So the Homo habilis and the one before that, the Australopithecus, ate fruit, right? Fruit and vegetables. But here the Homo erectus started eating meat, and they had a brain with much bigger capacity of 900 cc. Okay, Homo habilis only had a capacity of 650 to 800 cc, but Homo erectus has a capacity of 900 cc. Okay, now moving on, so this is the picture of Homo erectus over here that you can see over here. It looks more like a man. Okay, it's starting to look more like a man. And then moving on, you have the Neanderthal man. Okay, they also lived in Central and East Africa between 1 lakh to 40,000 years ago. So this is not million, this is not billion, this is just 1 lakh to 40,000 years ago. Okay, so I hope that's clear. And these people actually started to protect their body, and they buried their dead. So this is two important points that you have to remember in Neanderthal man. Neanderthal man actually started building shelters and started living inside the shelters, and they also buried their dead. They have high brain capacity of 1400 cc. Okay, and then comes so this is a picture of a Neanderthal man, and then comes the Homo sapiens, which you actually see now, the humans that you actually see now. They arose during Ice Age between 75,000 to 10,000 years ago. That they're also known as modern man. Okay, they also arose in Africa and moved to different places later on. Okay, cave art developed during this time, because of course we are the people who are mad with art, right? So cave art developed during the Homo sapiens period about 18,000 years ago, after the evolution of modern man. Okay, so modern man evolved 10,000 years ago, and between that, somewhere over the line, 18,000 years ago is where cave art came into life, and agriculture came around 10,000 years back. Okay, so these are points that you should actually remember. So in order to learn this, in order to learn the names, Dryopithecus, Ramapithecus, Australopithecus, Homo habilis, Homo erectus, Neanderthal man, and Homo sapiens, if you have to learn this in order, I actually have a code for you. This is the picture of Homo sapien, and I actually have a code for you. Okay, I'll tell you the code later on while we discuss previous equations. So the thing that you have to remember right now is the period in which they were evolved. Okay, so if you look at Dryopithecus, they evolved about 1.5 million years ago. Okay, if you look at Ramapithecus, they also evolved around 1.5 million years ago, right? Then you had Australopithecus, who arrived about 2 million years ago. And then you had the Homo habilis, who arrived 1.6 to 2 million years ago. You had the Homo erectus, which arrived about 1.5 million years ago. You had the Neanderthal man, right? Neanderthal man, who arrived about 75,000 to 10,000 years ago. 10,000 years ago, you have the Homo sapiens. Right, you have the Homo sapiens who, you have the Neanderthal man who arrived, sorry, I just made a mistake. You have the Neanderthal man who arrived who arrived 1 lakh to 40,000 million years ago. They arrived at 1 lakh to 40,000 years ago, not million years ago, just 40,000 years ago. And the Homo sapiens who arrived 75,000 to 10,000 years ago. Okay. So this is the order that you have to study. And in order to study this, I actually have a code for you guys. I'll tell you that later on. Okay. So now moving on, I'll just show you a picture of the human brain. Okay, the human brain. This was the brain of the older man, and then as developed, we have a brain like this right now with a very high capacity. Okay. Now let's move into previous year questions, okay? And while discussing these questions, we'll almost revise all the topics. The first question is differentiate between analogous organs and homologous organs and mention one example each. Really simple, right? Homologous organs are the organs with same structure and different functions, okay? Examples could be the forelimbs of cheetah, man, whale and bat. That's a very good example, right? You only asked about one example, so you just have to write one example, okay? So here you in homologous organs with same structure and different function. The example is forelimbs of mammals, okay? In the case of analogous organs, they are organs with same function but different structure. Example would be the wings of butterfly and bird, okay? So that's the first question. We've already discussed this in detail. The second question is write any three factors that affect Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. Again, yet another beautiful and simple question. We've learned about 5 factors that affect Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. We've learned about gene migration, genetic drift, natural selection. We've learned about genetic recombination, right? We've learned about mutation. We've learned about 5 factors. You have to write any 3 factors and explain it, okay? It's also simple. The third question is arrange the following names in ascending order of evolution, which evolved first and which evolved last. You have been given the names and you have to write it in the correct order. This is your previous year question. I haven't made it sitting at my home. This is your previous year question, and they have asked this before. So you need a code, and this is the code. Dear Ramu's aunt had nachos, okay? Dear Ramu's aunt had nachos. So how do you study this? Dear, the D of deer stands for Dryopithecus. Ramu's R stands for Ramapithecus. Aunt's A stands for Australopithecus. H's had stands for Homo habilis and Homo erectus. So this you have to learn by your own, because as had have H as the first letter, you have to write Homo habilis first. Habilis comes first. Because H comes first, habilis comes first. And then Homo erectus, okay? Then N of nachos for Neanderthal man. And then finally, you have the Homo sapiens, okay? So, Dryopithecus came about 15 million years ago, right? Ramapithecus came about 15 million years ago. Australopithecus came about 2 million years ago. Right, the Homo habilis came about 1.6 to 2 million years ago. Homo habilis came about 1.6 to 2 million years ago. Homo erectus came about 1.5 million years ago. Right, the Neanderthal man came about 1 lakh to 40,000 years ago. 40,000 years ago, and the Homo sapiens arrived about 75,000 to 10,000 years ago. So this is also something that you should be aware of. Okay, so this is the beautiful code that you have. Now moving on, you have the fourth question. Which theory talks about huge explosion that led to the origin of the universe? It's in green color, which means it's for you guys. It's a homework. Okay, it's a homework for you guys. Which there is, I already told you about a theory in the first video. There is a theory that talks about a huge explosion that resulted in the expansion of the universe. So you have to write the name of that theory. The next question: the original seed-eating finches in Galapagos Island evolved into many other forms with altered beaks. Identify the evolutionary phenomenon and define it. Again, this is also in green color, so this is also a question for you guys. We've already discussed this. Those finches were known as Darwin's finches, and that phenomenon had a name. That the name started with A. Okay, that's the only clue that I can give you. So refer to your notes and answer the question, okay? I need you to answer the question 4 and 5 in the comment section if you know. Okay, guys? So now let's look at the next question. Which of the following human ancestors is more ape-like? Of course, the first one, the first man, which is the Dryopithecus, is more ape-like. And then the next one, the Ramapithecus, is more man-like. Okay, so Dryopithecus is more ape-like. So that's the questions that I've brought you. I've discussed 6 questions. Out of the 6, I've given 2 as homework. Okay, this is already the topics that we have discussed in this chapter. So that's all about this chapter. This was the last video of the chapter, and it was a quick video because it's a very simple topic. The code that you have to remember is dear Ramu's aunt had nachos. Okay, so I hope you have understood this chapter. It was a very simple chapter, very small chapter, but a very important chapter. The Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium, the industrial melanism, the divergent evolution and convergent evolution, homologous organ, analogous organs are all previous year questions. Okay, so you have to learn all of that in detail. The Stanley Miller experiment, the theory of chemical evolution of Oparin and Haldane, it's all very important. Okay, so I hope you refer to more previous year questions. As I say every time, only 6 previous year questions are not enough. So you have to refer to more previous year questions. You have to learn well. You have to refer to your notes. I hope you have understood my class. If you have any doubt or any suggestions, you can put it in the comment section. It's your duty to ask. It's your responsibility to ask doubts. It's your right, and it's my duty to solve it. Okay. So until we meet with the next beautiful chapter in the next video, in the next session, I want all of you to take care and have a good day, month or week. Okay, take care guys, bye bye.